Yes, Kenya. Tamu sana, tamu sana, tamu sana, yes. Is a handshake between William Ruto and Raila Odinga in the offing? That's the question I want us to answer in this video. And that is so because Johnson Sakaja made some very interesting remarks that in one way or the other indicate that maybe there might be some ongoing talks behind the scenes, or maybe in future, not very far away, Raila and Ruto might have a handshake. I want us to listen to Sakaja before we proceed.
I have no apologies for working with Raila Omolo Odinga. And I have no apologies for working with William Ruto. In fact, ile siku William Ruto na Raila Odinga watakaa, mimi ndo ndawaleta pamoja wakae kwa meza. Because Nairobi County ni county ya kila mtu. Nairobi si ya kabila yoyote, si ya chama yoyote, ni ya watu wote wa Nairobi. Rais wetu apatiwe heshima yake, lakini pia Raila Amolo Odinga, engineer, the enigma. Must be respected also. Ama ni mbaya? We must respect leadership. So wale ambao wanajaribu kuleta kelele ati kwa sababu Sakaja anafanya kazi na Azimio na UDA, look for division elsewhere. Ile siku mtaona Raila Odinga na Ruto wamekaa pamoja, mtakuwa na aibu kubwa sana. Because our country cannot be divided again. And it will not be divided. We will work with it.
Yes. What's going on here? Let me start by saying this. Raila himself has made it official. He is not interested in any handshake with William Ruto. Ruto too has made it official. He is not interested in any handshake with Raila Odinga. The two leaders are in agreement. They don't need a handshake. That's what they have told us in public. Behind the scenes, only the two leaders knows what is going on behind the scenes. But now, assuming that indeed it turns out that the two leaders have a handshake, what does that mean? If Raila and William Ruto goes on to have a handshake, it's very clear William Ruto will benefit from that handshake at the expense of Raila Odinga. And the reason is simple. William Ruto's government has performed dismally. In fact, I won't be wrong to say that looking at all the governments that have ruled Kenya since independence, this is the worst performing government. This is a government that has clearly underperformed. A handshake with Raila Odinga will kill Raila's political career. Because all the baggage of William Ruto's government, William Ruto is very good when it comes to the words of the mouth. He'll actually turn that baggage and dumps it on Raila Odinga. And Raila will be forced to carry that baggage. So a handshake between Ruto and Raila politically will be very detrimental to Raila's political career. That's what I'm seeing here. And looking at what happened between Raila and Uhuru, it's a fact that Raila's handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta worked against Raila Odinga on the ground. Even though Raila is seriously loved by Kenyans, that handshake in one way or the other dented Raila's reputation on the ground, in that he embraced a government that a good majority of Kenyans felt was not performing. That worked against him on the ground. And Uhuru Kenyatta's government, comparing Uhuru Kenyatta's government to William Ruto's government, Uhuru Kenyatta's government performed far much better than Ruto's government. So in the event Raila has a handshake with Ruto, you can now just see the kind of anger he might suffer on the ground. So that's actually what I'm seeing in the event the two leaders have a handshake. So what is Johnson Sakaja trying to achieve? What's the objective of Johnson Sakaja here? I'm seeing a Johnson Sakaja. He might be talking on behalf of Ruto or Raila. He might be talking on behalf of these leaders. You never know. But I'm seeing a Johnson Sakaja who is coming out as the only sober voice in the government. The president himself is talking recklessly, remarks that are just dividing the country. Same to his deputy, same to Musalia Mudavadi. All the top leaders in Kenya Kwanza government, in my honest opinion, are proving that they are leaders who are not fit holding any public office. Their utterances actually divides the people more. In fact, looking at William Ruto's government, Johnson Sakaja is coming out as a symbol of national unity. In fact, Sakaja is coming out as more presidential than William Ruto himself, or even Rigathi, or even Musalia Mudavadi. And I won't be wrong to say, Sakaja, in terms of leadership, in the time this government has been in power, Sakaja has emerged as a true example of a good leader. That's a fact, and that's not debatable. But Sakaja, also being a politician, I know he might also be behaving that way to achieve other political objectives. And one such political objective, Sakaja knows for a fact that Nairobi belongs to Azimio. A good majority of Nairobi residents and even voters aligns themselves with Raila Odinga. Sakaja wants to please that kind of a voting bloc. Because he has looked at the bigger picture, he knows that come 2027, that support will have not changed much. Raila Odinga will still be enjoying majority support in the city. Sakaja does not want to antagonize or to annoy that support. He wants to embrace that support. That's also something Sakaja might be trying to achieve. And then secondly, I'm seeing a Johnson Sakaja who might be building his political career for the future. Sakaja has looked at the two sides of the political divides. He has looked at Kenya Kwanza. He has looked at Azimio. He feels he might be having a very bright political future in Azimio as compared to Kenya Kwanza Alliance. So I'm also not ruling out any possibility where it's just a matter of time before Johnson Sakaja damns Kenya Kwanza for Azimio. That's also a possibility because in politics, there are no permanent friends or enemies, but just permanent interests. We might be seeing a governor who in the coming days might officially join Raila Odinga. That's also a possibility that cannot be ruled out. And even as I conclude, or rather, before I conclude, looking at what is currently happening in the country, it's clear beyond any reasonable doubt that Johnson Sakaja, he might have joined Kenya Kwanza team because he felt there was no room for him in Azimio. Azimio already had their lineup, and Sakaja could not get any seat in Azimio. I'm seeing a Johnson Sakaja who most likely joined Kenya Kwanza Alliance, but his heart was not in Kenya Kwanza Alliance. His heart has been in Azimio. And honestly, if you look at the style of politics Sakaja plays, and then you compare it to the brand and style of politics William Ruto Rigathi plays, these are two leaders who are completely worlds apart. Sakaja's style and brand of politics is very different to that of Ruto, that of Rigathi Gachagua. So it might also be possible that Sakaja joined Kenya Kwanza Alliance, but his hand in the first place was not there. His heart maybe was in Azimio. That's what I can make from those remarks by Johnson Sakaja. But again, we cannot rule out any possibility of a handshake between Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga. In fact, let me put it straight this way. It's not Raila or Ruto to decide whether to have a handshake with Raila or Raila to have a handshake with Ruto. It's not them to decide. It's the circumstances that always forces leaders to come together. Looking at the way Kenya is actually going, Raila on Sunday will be at Jacaranda. And the government is, as time goes by, Kenyans are getting dissatisfied with this government. If Raila continues with these political tours across the country and William Ruto's government continues underperforming, William Ruto will be forced to beg Raila Odinga for a handshake. That's something that might come to pass. Ruto might find it very hard ruling without making peace with Raila Amolo Odinga. And Ruto is not the president we have seen who has said that he's not interested in a handshake. Others have said that before, but circumstances forced them to make peace with Raila Odinga. And in this case, it might not be Raila joining the government, but it might be Raila and William Ruto respecting one another, each and every person doing his work. In this case, Raila might now be forced to go slow on the countrywide rallies, and not even rallies but demonstrations, because from what I'm seeing, the rallies might eventually turn to demonstrations. So in the event Ruto and Raila makes peace, Raila might just leave them at Raila might not the Raila rallies might not turn out into demonstrations, but they'll just remain as rallies. Let's meet in our next analysis. But even before I forget, if you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give this video a like. If you want to support us here, I've pinned my number on the comment section. Contact me through the number.